Machine gun versus a bird. Easy win, right? In 1932, Australia thought so. They were wrong. But the emus weren't sitting ducks. They sprinted at 50 km/h and dispersed into small groups. Soldiers fired 10,000 rounds. Barely a dent. Humiliating. So what sparked this conflict? A drought hit, then rains returned, and so did emus, thousands of them, devouring wheat. Farmers were desperate. By 1932, the emu population had exploded. Desperate farmers petitioned the government. The military was called in. Enter Major G.P.W. Meredith, armed with Lewis guns. Mission, cull 20,000 emus. Simple, right? But emus scattered into fast-moving groups. Machine gunners' dreams shattered as the birds dodged fire with uncanny agility. Why did the emus survive? They split into tiny groups. Each shot became a gamble. Bullets kicked up a dust. Over 10,000 rounds fired in the first week. Kill rate, 1 emu per 10 bullets. The math was terrible. Meredith tried ambushes, water holes, even a truck-mounted gun. Emus outran everything. After a month, 2,500 emus killed out of a 20,000 target. 10 bullets per emu. Embarrassing. Meredith admitted, if we had a division with the bullet-carrying capacity of these birds, it would face any army in the world. The media ate it up. Headlines screamed, emu war abandoned, birds win. The military pulled the plug. Farmers left alone. The term emu war stuck. The world laughed, and the emus kept winning year after year. The government tried again in 1934, 1943, and 1948. Each time, similar failure. Today, the emu is on Australia's coat of arms. A bird that defeated the army now represents the nation. But to understand the scale, you have to picture the land. Western Australia's wheat belt was a harsh frontier. Farmers had carved farms from scrub, only to face drought. When rain finally came, it brought a new plague. Emus, driven by instinct to breed and feed. Emus are built for survival. Standing nearly 2 meters tall, they can cover 3 meters in a single stride. Their feathers provide camouflage, and their long legs can deliver a deadly kick. They're not just birds, they're living weapons. The military's strategy was flawed from the start. They assumed emus would bunch up like infantry. Instead, the birds scattered. Soldiers fired from too far, and the Lewis guns jammed. The terrain was uneven, making pursuit nearly impossible. Emus displayed remarkable tactical intelligence. They would split into small groups, making them harder targets. When pursued, they would run in zigzag patterns, using their speed to outflank soldiers. Some even circled back to attack from behind. The ammunition expenditure was staggering. In one engagement, 2,500 rounds were fired for only a dozen emus killed. The cost of bullets soon exceeded the value of the crops the birds destroyed. The operation became a financial disaster. News of the failure spread quickly. Newspapers across Australia and abroad mocked the army. Cartoons depicted emus laughing at soldiers. The government faced ridicule, and the military's reputation took a hit. Farmers were left to fend for themselves. They built fences, set traps, and shot emus individually. But the birds were relentless. Some farmers abandoned their land, unable to cope with the losses. The emu war was a crisis for rural communities. Emus are incredibly resilient. They can go weeks without food, and they thrive in harsh conditions. Their population rebounded quickly after each cull. Nature had equipped them to survive, and they did. The failed culls became a political issue. Opposition MPs demanded answers. The government shifted blame to the military, and the military blamed the terrain. No one took responsibility, and the emus continued to roam freely. The emu war entered Australian folklore. It became a symbol of the underdog, of nature's unpredictability. Songs were written, jokes told. The emu, once a pest, became a beloved rogue. Today, emu populations are managed with non-lethal methods, fencing, habitat modification, and controlled hunting. The lessons of 1932 still inform wildlife management. Sometimes, the best weapon is understanding. Ironically, emus are now farmed for their meat, oil, and leather. The bird that once defeated the army is now an agricultural asset. Their resilience, once a curse, is now a boon. The emu war teaches us humility. In an age of drones and smart weapons, nature still finds ways to surprise. It's a reminder that victory isn't guaranteed by technology alone. Sometimes the birds win. But the drought preceding the emu invasion was brutal. Western Australia's wheat belt had been parched for years. Farmers watched their topsoil blow away, their savings dwindle. When the rains finally came, it was a relief. But it also triggered a chain reaction they couldn't control. As the drought broke, emus from the arid interior migrated to the greener farmlands. They followed ancient instincts, traveling hundreds of kilometers. The farmers' wheat fields were an irresistible feast, and the emus arrived in waves, thousands strong. Desperate farmers formed delegations. They traveled to Perth, pleading for help. Their crops were being devoured, their livelihoods destroyed. They demanded action, and the government, facing an election, couldn't ignore them. So they turned to the military, a decision that would backfire spectacularly. Major Meredith was a decorated World War I veteran. He believed a few machine guns would solve the problem quickly. He and his men set out with Lewis guns and 10,000 rounds of ammunition. Their plan: surround and destroy the emus, but they underestimated their enemy. The first encounter was a disaster. Soldiers opened fire on a large group of emus, but instead of panicking, the birds scattered. They ran in all directions, making it impossible to aim. The soldiers fired wildly, hitting nothing but dust. The emus regrouped and escaped. Emus can sprint at 50 kilometers per hour. They're among the fastest birds on land. Soldiers on foot couldn't keep up. Even vehicles struggled over the rough terrain. The emus simply outran their pursuers, disappearing into the bush. Newspapers had a field day. "Emu war abandoned, birds win," screamed one headline. Cartoons showed emus laughing at soldiers. The story went global, and Australia became a laughingstock. The military's pride was wounded more than any emu. After the military withdrew, the emus returned to the fields. They continued to feast on crops. Farmers were left with no solution. Some resorted to poisoning, but that killed other wildlife. The emus seemed invincible. The war was over, but the battle for the wheat belt was far from won. Next time you think something's easy, remember that birds outran machine guns. Speed, smarts, luck. Hit subscribe for more.